underatexassky.com, and I'm going to show you how to do a different style of wreath today. One of the wreaths that I showed you in a previous video was the pouf method wreath, and I told you actually then I did a ruffle wreath after that, and I told you I was going to show you how we could combine those two things together, and that's what I'm going to do today. Is on a Valentine's wreath, since it's January 3rd, and happy Valentine's Day to you, happy New Year to you. I hope you had a wonderful holiday, and that your new year will be very blessed, and that you're going to try to do some things that you've never tried before, which may be including one of these wreaths. I want to talk a little bit about what we're using today. I'm using, for the ruffles, I'm using the 10-inch Deco mesh, the poly Deco mesh. I've got it over here. It's already rolled out for my last cut. I wanted you to be able to see the last cut, and so I've got it rolled out here, so I can't show you what it looks like, but it's just like the 21-inch, but it's a 10-inch roll. We are using this type of mesh. It's a different type of mesh than we've used in the past. It's kind of a waffle mesh, and as you can see, there's a grid pattern in it that's larger than a regular Deco mesh. This one happens to have a little bit of the metallic running through it, so it makes it really pretty with what we're using. So I'm going to be using the 21-inch, one roll of 21-inch poly Deco mesh in the waffle pattern. I used 3 colors of the 10-inch. I've got red, white, and pink, since it's Valentine's Day. I'm using a 24-inch work wreath, and remember, the 24 inches indicates how big it will be when you're finished with it. It's actually 15 inches as the wreath is right here, and once you're finished and everything's on it, it'll balloon out a little bit to about 24 inches. So that's kind of what they call it. Be careful when you buy your wreath forms, because sometimes they'll indicate the size by the finished size, and that was confusing to me. It may not be to you, but it was definitely confusing to me. And then just some of the tools that I always use. I have wire cutters of every shape and size, because you just never know what you're going to have to cut. Just a regular small pair will work for most of what you're doing. But I also use some pliers too, because sometimes there's some sharp edges on the wreath forms, and I use this as a plier and a wire cutter. It's got both of them at the same time, so it's nice to have because it'll do double duty if you need to cut wire or cut your zip ties, which also, I just have a bag. Actually, I've got a couple of bags of zip ties of various colors, lengths, and sizes. I attach a lot of things to the wreath form with these, so the craft stores have them. I would buy them and keep them on hand. Certainly hot glue works also, which of course I have my hot glue gun, and because there may be some things that we're going to hot glue onto the form. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm going to be using some different ribbons. When I do these videos for you, I'm not 100% sure what we're going to do. I just kind of play it by ear. I think it's good for you to see the process, how we think about what we're going to put on the wreaths that we do, and we just do it as we go. That just lets you know that anybody can do this. You're only limited by your imagination. We are going to use, I've got here, what size is this ribbon? It's this pretty wide ribbon, and you know, really it doesn't say how wide it is. But I would guess that's 4 inches. It's a 4-inch ribbon. And the red, I also have a 1.5-inch ribbon that's got white and silver. It's kind of festive. And then I've got a variety of other ribbons also, but I'm just not sure if I'm going to use them or not at this point. Since we're using pink and white and red, it's Valentine's Day, I do have just a variety of different colors. I went to the craft store. I bought lots of different picks and beads. I'm going to use this for the center. This was just kind of my go-by. For the colors that I chose for my wreath, I thought this was super cute. It just says, "Be mine." Valentine's Day is fun. It's you know, a lot of us remember when we were kids how much fun the Valentine's parties were at school. And I thought that this kind of reminded me of something that maybe a kid would want in their room. But it certainly would go great on your front door as well. We are using the Deco poly mesh, so it will be able to be used outside. Be careful of that. There are lots of different meshes out there. Most of them, of the poly, can be used outside. Some of them, the paper meshes, of course, paper, so it can't be used outside. So just be aware of that when you purchase what you're, the mesh that you're buying, to know whether or not it can be used outside. Okay, I just did the prep work already on most everything. And that's a really good thing to do, to have everything ready from the very beginning. It's just like a recipe when you're cooking. If you have everything chopped first and everything, it's just easier to put it all together when it's time to work. What I've done with the rolls of the poly mesh, which are right here, again, as you see, I've got 3 rolls. I stack them all on top of each other, so it's just for every one cut that I make, I get 3 pieces of the mesh. I've gone, these are for our ruffles, I've gone with a 15-inch cut. Normally, if I'm going to do an entire wreath of the ribbon, the ruffle technique, I will cut that mesh around 10 inches to 12 inches because I want to get the most out of my rolls. But for this is actually going to be the embellishment on the wreath that we're doing. So I didn't need as many. I made one for every single twist, and there are 18 twists on the entire wreath, so I only needed 18 pieces cut of the Deco mesh, which means I needed 6 times 3 is 18, since I'm cutting 3 at a time. I've already gotten 5 of them cut. I'm going to cut the last one. If you haven't seen the ruffle wreath technique tutorial, I'm going to just show you right now the way I do it. I have a cutting mat here that doesn't damage the table, so it's there, and it also has this great ruler on it, so I know how big the pieces are that I'm cutting. So this is my final cut because I've already got 5 cut, and I only need 1 more. So use something to hold the end down, use something to hold this end down, because if you don't, it's all going to roll back up and it's going to be really frustrating. So here, let's see, I'm going to mark that at 30 inches. And so I know I need to cut down here at 15 because I'm cutting these 15 inches long. So I'm going to cut at 15. And then it just rolls up in this cute little roll. All 3 of the different colors are together. And I can just stack this here. I'm going to move it around when we start working. And since that was my last cut, you know, kind of keep things straight as you go. Just makes it a lot less frustrating trying to move stuff out of the way. So we go ahead and put the stuff up that we're using. Hopefully you've got some nice storage for your mesh. I've got a couple of things that I use for that. And then we're going to get to our work wreath. And this work wreath has a little bit fatter tinsel on it, so it's not a pencil wreath, it is just a work wreath. And I've got it in kind of a, it's not quite hot pink, but it's pretty pink. And we'll go ahead and we're going to do the poof technique with this waffle type mesh. And if you'll remember, the poof technique, it's very simple, it goes really quickly. I start on the outer edge and I go with just pulling the mesh and get a nice end on your mesh. And I just gather that up in, you know, just a little bunch when I start. A lot of people will fold that under so you have a nice neat edge on the bottom. It doesn't matter to me because I tuck it in and I use a zip tie to zip that down. And so you don't even see it anyway. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our work wreath and we are going to open up the twists right here. And we're going to place the mesh inside that opening. So that's the first. And it doesn't matter where on the wreath that you start, but I am starting on the outside. And I go ahead and I just give that a light twist. Doesn't need to be in there, you know, twisted all permanently. And it, because we're going to be putting other stuff in that, so don't make that so tight that you can't get back to it. Now this is a 21 inch by 24 foot roll, so I should easily be able to get my 18 poofs in this, going 14 inches is what I usually do. But you know, I made one earlier with the white waffle, and I was a little bit short at the end, so I'm kind of paranoid about how long this actually is. So instead of going 14 on this particular one, I'm just going to go ahead and go 13, just to be sure that I'm going to have enough at the end. And I measure every single poof, just to be sure that I am correct. And my measurements, I don't want to have to go back and wonder if I got them right or not. So I'm going to go ahead and twist that in. Then you're going to come in and you're going to gather up your next poof. You just kind of give it a pull and then do your measurement. Again, I am doing 13 inches. You can do 14. 14 is what I usually recommend. But again, just to be sure, I don't want to get to the end here and not have enough, because that's a little bit frustrating. Actually, I could have started in the inner ring if I had wanted to. So I could if I came up short, I'd be on the outside ring, but that's okay. And as you can see, inside the twists is how we're going here. Okay, now magically, I am around to the twist that I started with when I started this outer ring. And if you've not seen this before, I just want to show you how I do it. When I get to the last twist that's on the ring, I go ahead and I open it up. I don't just stack right on top of it. If you just stack things on top of it, first of all, you run out of room, and it just, to me, looks not as polished as it does when you open the twist up and put the things inside the twist. It just makes better room. It leaves room for you to add more things. So I know it's hard for you to tell what I'm doing, but I opened the twist back up, and I'm going to put this last poof in there. Got my fingers crossed that my fabric or my mesh is going to last through the inner ring. And now the transition to the inner ring. As you can see here, I go to the closest twist tie to where I am. I pull the mesh really tight. I don't worry about a poof, or making a poof or anything. I just pull it tight and I stretch it down to the nearest twist, and I'll show you what this looks like in just a second, because it's definitely, let me do it on, hold on, let me do it on this side of the twist. Okay. Twist that down really tight, because you will get back to that twist. And so what you end up having, you can see here, there was my last twist on the outer ring, straight down to my first twist on my inner ring is right here. And then we are going to go with the whole process just the same as we did before, twisting, or measuring, and then untwisting, putting it in, twisting. Okay, now again, magically, you can see that this is all filled in very nicely, and we are on our last twist. So I wanted to show you again. You can see where I came down from the top to the bottom, or actually the outer to the inner, straight down, twisted it in, and started my poofs going that way. Then I opened this twist tie up again. You see that it's open, and I'm going to go ahead and stick this last poof, and I just gather it and I mush it all together in my hands. And yes, mushing is a word. Put it, and we put it in there pretty tight because we want to be sure that it's in there really good. I give it one twist because remember, we're not done with those twists yet. And then what you have left, I just pull down a few inches, enough that I can tuck in between these rings and zip tie it off at the end. And just give it a cut. There's barely any left. I could have gone probably 14 inches instead of 13 on these, but you can see how close it would have been, and I just didn't think it was worth it. So, you know, just be careful, because it would really be a pain to have to untwist all of these things and start over. As you can see already, I mean, look at how cute this is. I love this mesh. And yeah, you know, it's a little see-through because it's a very wide pattern, but we're going to fill all that in. And this mesh is pretty pliable too. I mean, it does what you want it to do when you know, put it places and so forth. That's one of the things that I don't, the poof method is not necessarily my favorite wreath to do, because while it is the easiest in terms of how fast you can get it done and so forth, it just kind of drives me nuts trying to be sure that everything is filled in and there are no gaps. But there you go, and you can see what it looks like from the back. And some of these work wreaths, got to be careful. These twists, they don't want to stay secure. They want to flop around, and that'll kind of mess up the look of your wreath. So just watch that. Get it how you want it to be. And then we are going to now start working on these same twists with these pieces that we cut. These are going to be our embellishments. Usually I just cut ribbon and put it in there, but with this we're doing the two different styles, the ruffle wreath and the poof. And so we're going to make our ruffles, and what we're going to do is we're going to take these 15-inch cuts made on the 10-inch rolls, and you just start in the middle and you just start gathering it up in the middle like you're making a bow or a butterfly or something like that. And with these I actually start on the inside. It doesn't really matter, and this is how it looks when you have it all gathered up. You can see it's just looks like a butterfly or a bow. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose any twist, and I'm going to start right here on this one in the inner ring. I'm going to open it up just like I've done before. I'm going to put that ruffle in there, give it a couple of twists, and I like to make sure that everything is going down instead of flipping out. Because what happens with this Deco mesh, and this is just a regular plain Deco mesh, it's not a premium or a deluxe, it's just plain, and so you're going to have some strings, you'll be trimming some strings off, but it just looks nice when it goes to the inside. And you see how cute that is already right there. And then decide on your next color, which I'm going to do red. Now really, I don't know if that pink's going to be so close. Red and white in there may have been enough. It may have been good enough, but we're going to see. I kind of give it a little once over, make sure it's kind of even in the middle, but again, I mean, that's what you come up with right here. It's just that little butterfly or bow or whatever you want to call it. Open up your next twist, and you really kind of have to just cram it down in there. Don't worry about being all gentle with it. Just get it in there the best that you can. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to bookend these colors on the white. I'm going to go ahead and put the pink on the other side of the white. And probably what's going to happen when I get around to the end, I'm probably going to have two colors together. There's just really no way you can get around that because I'm using 3 different colors. And I think the inside of the wreath maybe has 8, and you can't divide 3 into 8 evenly. So there's a chance I'll have 2 colors together, or it's not going to be exactly the same all the way around, which is okay. Okay, I have gone through the wreath and I have put all of the ruffles in. I put them in every single twist. I cut an extra ruffle somehow, I don't know how. I may notice it later when we're going through this that maybe I missed a twist. And now, as you can see, darling. It already looks so cute like it is. There's just not, it's a little bit see-through still, so we can still add some more things to it. But I just love the way that it has turned out. It's pretty thick, it's pretty tall. Here's my ruler. You can see how deep it is. I mean, it's, at its highest point, it's like 7 inches probably, a little over 7 inches as far as how it comes out. And you'll need to do some adjusting, pull on these poofs, get them where they're filling in any holes that you can see. And then the next thing that I normally do is I add some ribbon to the wreath. And what I did this time, because I did ruffles in every single twist, I thought I might not need ribbons in every single twist. Normally what I would do is I would add a ribbon or a ribbon combination for every single twist. But I don't think I'm only gonna put them in, I think 6 is how many that I did. So that's gonna be in, out, so forth. And you can see there's a string right there. You're gonna be trimming these strings, like I said. When you see them, go ahead and grab them. I really trimmed that one. And I wanted to show you how we do these ribbons. I went ahead and cut these ribbon strips about 10 inches long. And then, as you can see, they're chevroned on the ends. That's just such a cute look. It's just a polished look, a finished look, rather than just a flat end. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I know I've shown you before, but I'm going to show you again in case you haven't seen that. What you do to get both ends at the same time, fold your ribbon over and get it as even as possible. And then you're going to fold that over as well. So it's going to look kind of like this. Then take your scissors, and be sure you have a good pair of scissors that cut really well, because you're going to be cutting through wire a bunch, because all of the ribbon, or 99% of the ribbon we use, has a wire in it. Start on the folded edge, very important. Start on the folded edge and cut at a diagonal down toward the corner. If you start at the open edge and cut down, your ribbon is going to be left with a point that's pointing down. It's not going to be an empty space that's pointing up. So just do your fold, take your scissors, well, and hopefully you're going to cut all of the ribbon at once. And then, as you can see, both ends have a nice chevron. Open your twist up again, and then I just take both pieces of ribbon. In this case, I put the small one on top, and you put your finished edge to the outside because that's what's going to be seen. This one clearly has not the same image on the other side. And then you're going to just bunch it together in the middle. And of course, this just kind of collapsed the whole thing, but once you get it in here, you'll open it back up and it looks really cute. So let's go ahead and let's put this ribbon in here. And do a twist tie. And what you're going to do when you add anything, stop, hold it up. I think that's really cute. I like that a lot. So we're going to put these ribbons every other one, hopefully avoiding the red ruffles if we can. Okay, the wreath is just about completed. While we took a little break, I came in and I went ahead and tied in the ribbons that we had cut. I ended up cutting a few more and adding them, because what you're going to do is once you get it all done, you'll stop, you'll step back and look at it, and then you'll be able to see where things don't really look full enough or interesting enough. It just seems like in these Deco mesh wreaths, less is not more. More is more. You want to have a lot of stuff on them. I went ahead and I added some extra, I cut some extra red in the Deco mesh 15-inch strips for my ribbons, ruffles, excuse me, and I added them in. It just didn't have enough red in it, and the pinks were so light you could really see through the wreath. Now, once the wreath is hanging on a door, you will not be able to see through it, but I like to make it as full as possible after it's all completed, and so I went ahead and added some things. But as you can see, it turned out super cute. We used the 21-inch waffle type mesh to do the poof method. I went in 13-inch poofs all the way around in every single twist, and then I came back with red, pink, and white 10-inch poly deco mesh cut into 15-inch strips and then ruffled in the middle and inserted. I actually added extra red so that the number of them, it works out to be the number that it takes to make it look right. As you can see, I still have one left. After I cut them, I decided I didn't have anywhere to put it. I went ahead and hot glued this little styrofoam heart. I just got a bag of these hearts from the craft store. You know, if you want, you could go back in and they could go in the middle of every little twist. I mean, that actually is cute like that. I mean, you'll be making different decisions about what you want to do left and right. You just have to know when to quit. You know, if you can look at it and are satisfied with it, mostly satisfied with it, then I think you've got something that will really work. I hope that you'll try one of these wreaths that we've talked about. It really is a lot of fun. It's very satisfying when you can finish one and you like the way it looks. Don't compare what you do to what other people do. I'm terrible about that. I'm never 100% satisfied with what I do. But if you get hung up on that, it won't be fun for you. So just realize, you know, you're making it for yourself, and you can relax a little bit. I always think that if it's one that I'm making for myself and not someone else, I do relax and I have a little bit more fun with it because I'm not trying to please someone else but myself. So you take it with that attitude as well. Try one of these. This is a combination poof and ruffle wreath, and have fun with it. And I will be back another time with a little bit different type of wreath. I think we're going to get away from the deco mesh the next time. I've got a fabric wreath that I'd like to show you how to make, and that will be coming soon. Have a wonderful new year, and again, this is Kelly from underatexasguy.com. Check it out. There's lots of projects on there, different kinds of wreaths, and I hope you'll stop by there and you can learn a little bit more about me. And there'll be a link on there also. My daughter has a blog that's a really wonderful blog if you're a person who's dealt with any kind of loss or the loved one. Her husband passed away last year of cancer, and she's a very young woman. She's only 28, and he was a very young man. He was only 28, and her journey is also linked on my website. I think that if you're looking for some encouragement, it would be a nice place to go as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.